Ho, ho, ho! Come in close, my wonderful friends, because you're about to experience another wonderful story from Santa with Story Time by Santa. Pull the blanket up to your chin, make sure your cocoa is within easy sipping distance, maybe some lemonade, and settle in. Tonight's story is sweet, very sweet, not just because it takes place in the North Pole. Oh, we're going to go venturing. Not just because it includes candy canes, who likes candy canes, but because it's about the kind of sweetness that lives in courage, kindness, and helping others who sometimes important things go wrong. This is the story of the elf and the candy cane factory. Far, far up in the North Pole, where the snow sparkles like sugar crystals and the stars twinkle so brightly, they look as if they're winking. There are many busy buildings. There is a toy workshop where toy trains, whistles, and teddy bears wait patiently for hugs. There is a wrapping workshop where ribbons curl through the air like colorful little dancers. There is the rainbow or reindeer barn, where hooves clatter, bells jingle, and somebody is always sneaking an extra carrot. But one building stands out from all the rest. It is painted with swirls of red and white. It has shiny peppermint striped chimneys, and every breeze that passes by carries a smell so delicious that even the snow seems happy. That building is the candy cane factory. Now, if you had walked into the candy cane factory on a busy December morning, you would have seen something magnificent. Gigantic copper kettles bubbled with peppermint syrup. Silver machines swirled and clicked and spun. Long ropes of warm candy stretched, twisted, and curled into beautiful striped canes. The air smelled like peppermint sugar, winter magic, and fresh laughter. The working in the wonderful factory was a young elf named Pepkin Peppermint. Say that one quick 3 times. Pepkin was small even for an elf. His hat was always a little crooked. His cheeks were always rosy, and his curly shoes squeaked whenever he walked. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Some elves tried to tiptoe quietly through the factory. Pipkin could not. Even when he tried to be sneaky, his shoes announced him like a tiny trumpet player. Here comes Pipkin. The other elves would laugh. Pipkin didn't mind, because Pipkin loved the candy cane factory more than almost any other thing in the world. He loved the bright stripes. He loved the peppermint smell. He loved watching faces light up when the first batch of the day rolled out shiny and perfect. And most of all, Pepkin loved knowing that somewhere, far away, a child might smile because something sweet was made in the factory. Each morning he bounced out of bed before sunrise, brushed the sugar crystals from his jacket, straightened his crooked hat, and hurried through the snow. Squeak, squeak, squeak. One especially busy morning, Pipkin pushed open the factory doors and called, "Good morning, everyone." "Good morning, Pipkin," came a dozen cheerful replies. Standing near the largest kettle in the building was the head candy maker, an older elf named Taffy Twinklebeard. Say that one 3 times quick. Now, Taffy had been making candy canes for over 200 Christmases. His beard sparkled with tiny sugar flecks, and his round spectacles were always foggy from the peppermint steam. He knew everything there was to know about candy, or at least almost everything. "Well, good morning there, Pepkin," Tuffy said, "ready for a busy day?" "Yes, sir," Pipkin said, standing tall, and this was no ordinary day because Pipkin had been given an opportunity of important responsibility. He was in charge of the great peppermint mixer. Now, the great peppermint mixer was one of those most important machines in the whole North Pole. It stirred together the warm peppermint syrup with the magic that made every candy cane taste like Christmas itself. Without the mixer, there would be no peppermint swirl, no sweet stripes, no candy canes, and that, my dear listeners, would have been a very sticky problem indeed. Pipkin climbed onto his tall stool beside the mixer and gave the great silver handle a proud turn. Whirr made the sound. The syrup began to swirl. Steam puffed up. The whole room filled with a bright, cool peppermint smell. Pipkin grinned. That smells like Christmas dancing. From the next station over, an elf with sparkly suspenders popped her head up. This was Sprinkle Sparkle Pants, who was in charge of candy decorations and believed that nearly everything could be improved with a little more shimmer. Christmas is dancing, she giggled. What does that smell like? Pipkin thought for a moment, like peppermint, cookies, snowflakes, and somebody laughing so hard they nearly spilled their cocoa. Sprinkle nodded. That sounds exactly right. All around them, the factory hummed happily. Warm ropes of candy stretched and folded. Elves measured stripes. Others checked curls. One elf in the corner was counting candy canes so seriously you would have thought he was solving a mystery. Everything was going perfectly until it wasn't. First came a small sound. Rup. Pipkin blinked. Then came another. Clink. Splop. Pipkin tilted his head. That, he said carefully, does not sound very pepperminty. The great peppermint mixer gave one last unhappy shudder and stopped. Oh no! At once the kettle slowed, the twisting machines quieted, the whole factory went still. No whirring, no bubbling, no cheerful clinks, just silence. Every elf froze. Taffy Twinklebeard turned slowly and went, "Oh dear." Sprinkle gasped, "The mixer." Pipkin's ears drooped. "I'm sorry." Taffy walked over calmly, because that is what experienced candy makers do. They remain calm even when their peppermint hearts are doing somersaults. Now, Taffy said gently, "No need for panic. Machines sometimes stop. What matters is what we do next. But if the mixer is broken," said a nervous elf from the wrapping station, then we can't make the candy canes for tonight's sleigh loading. And if we can't make those," added another, "then the shipping baskets will be behind. And if the shipping baskets are behind," cried Sprinkle dramatically, "then Christmas could be one peppermint cane short." At that, every elf gasped. Pipkin swallowed hard. Taffy opened the side panel of the mixer. Inside were turning gears, polished pipes, tiny valves, and the peppermint crystals. He peered in. Sprinkle peered over one shoulder. Pipkin peered over the other. 3 more elves tried to peer too, and for a moment it looked as if the whole factory might topple onto one very sparkly pile. "Give the machine a little breathing room," Taffy said. Pipkin stepped back and squinted. Then he saw it. "There," he said, "by the 3rd gear." Taffy adjusted his spectacles, and sure enough, stuck tightly between 2 gears was a peppermint crystal. wedged just long enough to stop the whole machine. "Well, I'll be a sugared snowflakes," Taffy said. "Good eye, Pipkin." He tried to tug it loose with a tiny wrench. No luck. Another elf tried with the candy tongs. Still no luck. Sprinkle tried talking sweetly to it. "Please move. You peppermint pickle." The crystal did not care. Pipkin thought hard, then harder, and he looked at the shelf nearby and suddenly pointed. "Peppermint oil." Taffy raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "If we use just one tiny drop," Pipkin said, "the gear might loosen and the crystal could slide free." Taffy considered, then his eyes twinkled. "That," he said, "is an excellent idea." Pipkin carefully uncorked the peppermint oil and let a single drop fall into the stubborn little gap. Everyone leaned in. The crystal wiggled, then wiggled again, then pop! It shot free and bounced harmlessly onto Taffy's beard, where it hung like an accidental ornament. The factory erupted in cheers. Sprinkle laughed so hard that she had to hold onto the table. "Taffy, your beard is festive." Taffy plucked the crystal off with dignity. "Let us never speak of this again." Pipkin turned the great handle. The mixer roared back to life. The kettles bubbled, the twisting machine spun, the candy ropes stretched, and the whole factory burst into applause. But then something even more surprisingly happened. The next batch of candy canes rolled out of the machine, brighter and glossier than any batch before. Their peppermint scent seemed richer somehow, fresher, more sparkling. Sprinkle picked one up and took a careful nibble. Her eyes widened. "These are incredible." Taffy tasted one too. Then he tasted another, just to be certain. "My goodness," he said, "the peppermint oil didn't just fix the machine, it improved the flavor." Pipkin blinked. "It did?" "It absolutely did," Taffy said. "These may be the finest candy canes we've made in 50 Christmases." Just then the giant workshop doors swung open and in came a gust of snowy air and a very familiar laugh. "Ho, ho, ho." I stepped inside, brushing snowflakes from my red coat. "Well, now, what is all this excitement?" I could hear cheering halfway to the sleigh barn. Taffy smiled. "Pipkin saved the factory." My eyes twinkled warmly. "Did he now?" Pipkin shuffled slightly. "Squeak, squeak." "I just saw the problem," he said, and tried to help. Santa took one of the shiny new candy canes and gave it a taste. His eyebrows rose. Then I smiled, the big happy Santa smile that I could do. "Well done, Peppermint," he said. "This one is one fine candy cane." Pipkin's whole face lit up, but then Santa looked at the long rows of freshly made candy canes and said, "You know, this calls for a celebration." And once Santa said something calls for a celebration, my dear friends, that is exactly what happens. By evening, the candy cane factory had transformed. Peppermint garlands hung from the rafters. Sugar lanterns glowed softly. Mrs. Claus arrived carrying trays of cookies, of course. A small North Pole band set up near the doorway with fiddles, bells, and one accordion that was trying very hard to feel important. The reindeer came to peek through the open doors. Even a few snowmen waddled over from the village square. Pipkin stood proudly beside the first big basket of candy canes. I raised one very high. "To Pipkin Peppermint," he said, the elf who kept Christmas sweet. Cheers filled the factory, but the celebration wasn't just about candy. It was about teamwork. It was about paying attention. It was about courage. Taffy clinked a mug of cocoa gently against Pumpkin's. A good candy maker uses his hands, he said. A great one uses his eyes, his ears, and his heart. Sprinkle added, and maybe peppermint oil. Everybody laughed. Then I had a wonderful idea. Let's share these first candy canes with everybody, every workshop tonight, he said. Toy builders, wrappers, sleigh polishers, stable helpers, everyone. So off went the baskets, one to the toy workshop, one to the wrapping hall, one to the reindeer barn, and one even to the snow shoveling crew, who were so surprised they nearly dropped their shovels into a drift. The whole North Pole buzzed with good cheer. Late that night, after the music and dancing and cocoa and candy canes, Pipkin stepped outside for a breath of crisp air. The sky was full of stars. The snow beneath his shoes sparkled. Taffy stepped outside with him. You did very well today, the old candy maker said. Pipkin smiled. I was scared for a minute. Taffy nodded. Brave people often are. The trick is doing the helpful thing anyway. Pipkin looked up at the stars. Do you think kids will notice that this year's candy canes taste a little better? Taffy chuckled. Oh, I think they'll notice, Pipkin grinned. And from that day on, he was known throughout the North Pole as the elf who saved the candy cane factory. Every Christmas after that, whenever children hung candy canes on their trees, stirred peppermint into warm cocoa, or smiled at these bright red and white stripes, everywhere in the North Pole, Pepkin Peppermint smiled too. His shoes still squeaked, his hat still sat a little crooked, and the candy cane factory still smelled like peppermint cookies, snowflakes, and laughter. Ho, 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 ho! The moral of the story is even the smallest person can make a big difference when they choose a little to help others. Pepkin did not panic when something important went wrong. He stayed calm, paid attention, and trusted that his idea might help. When we use courage, kindness, and teamwork to solve problems, we often discover that our efforts do more than fix what is broken. They can make things even better than before. Ho, 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 ladies and gentlemen. That was an incredible story. I hope you enjoyed it. Because come back next time and I'll read some more. Ho, ho, ho. Santa loves you.